I didn't go into that shop looking for a story. I just wanted something cheap to take photos with. Thrift stores are like graveyards, but sometimes they're the only places where lost stories are waiting to be found. It was buried under a pile of old cables, a silver Sony from 2005. It felt like a toy. This is exactly what I was looking for. They don't make such cameras anymore. $20 is a gamble on a piece of technological history. But looking at the dust on the lens, I had a feeling this one had a lot to say. When I got home and plugged it in, I expected it to be empty. But there she was. Maya. She wasn't just a file on a disk, she was a whirlwind. I expected a few blurry vacation photos, or maybe just a corrupted disk. But when the first folder opened, I couldn't believe my eyes. Every video was a burst of light, but the last one changed everything. The files weren't labeled by date or place. They were labeled by dreams. I saw her running through a field of sunflowers, the camera bouncing with every step. I saw her sitting on a pier, swinging her legs over the edge, describing the exact flavor of a sea salt ice cream she'd waited an hour for. There were clips of her trying to catch the wind in her hands, and long, quiet shots of the ocean where she didn't say a word at all. She was vibrant, full of this restless, beautiful energy, but she was always alone in the frame. It was like she was documenting a solo journey, and for some reason, she had chosen this little silver box to be her only witness. Among the video files was a single image, a photo of a handwritten note. It was a list, titled, "Before the Light Fades." I didn't want to just leave it on the hard drive. I needed to hold it. When the printer finally whirred to life and spat out that page, seeing her handwriting in my own hands changed everything. I looked at the list, then back at the camera. I realized I wasn't just holding a piece of history. I was holding a piece of her, and she wasn't finished yet. She spoke to the camera like she knew someone would find it, like she was trusting me with her life's work. So, I started walking. I went to the pier. I sat where she sat. For the first time in years, I wasn't looking at my phone. I was looking at the world through her eyes. The next two items on her list felt different, more personal. Next was the golden hour at the overlook. I found the spot just as the sky began to bruise into deep purples and oranges. I held the camera up, not to take a photo for myself, but to let the lens drink in the light she had missed. I stood there until the sun dipped below the horizon, feeling the temperature drop and wondering if she'd ever seen a sunset quite this vivid. Then there was the ancient oak. The list mentioned a hollow knot on the north side, where she hid notes for her future self. Finding the tree was easy. It was the oldest thing in the park, branches sprawling like giant veins in the sky above. When I reached into the hollow of the wood, my fingers brushed against nothing but dry bark and cobwebs. Her notes were gone, lost to time or elements. I folded the list, tucked it deep into the heart of the tree at dusk so, if she couldn't leave a message for the future, I'd leave one for her. But I wanted to find her. I needed to find her. I wanted to send her a message and tell her that the ice cream was great and the sunset was exactly like she imagined. But the more I typed, the quieter the room felt. I found a page I wasn't ready to see. Maya didn't just lose her camera 20 years ago. She lost her time. She was only 17, and she was still waiting for someone to finish that list. The last item on the list was the lighthouse. It was the place where she said she'd find the answer to everything. As I drove through the night, the silver camera sat in the passenger seat, like a silent passenger. I knew now why the footage ended so abruptly. She wasn't just a girl who lost a camera. She was a girl who ran out of tomorrows. I reached the summit just as the sky began to bleed into the pre-dawn blue. The lighthouse beam swept over the cliffs, a rhythmic heartbeat in the dark. I climbed the stairs, my lungs burning, until I reached the top gallery. I held the camera up one last time, aiming it at the rising sun. I hit record. I left the camera there, on the stone ledge, resting on top of the folded bucket list. I didn't need the files anymore. I had helped her finish her story. And as the sun finally broke over the horizon, I realized that some things aren't meant to be kept. They're just meant to be seen. Standing there, watching the sun break over the ocean, I felt like I was keeping a promise for a friend I never met. I left the camera there, because Maya's story doesn't belong in a drawer. It belongs to the wind, the light, and whoever finds it next.